Good morning, you're watching the Channel 9 Breakfast Show on Wednesday, the 18th of February. I'm Nikki Dean.
And I'm Byron the Bruiser Evans. I've come up with a nickname for myself.
Sorry, Nikki the Nightmare Dean.
There we go.
Yeah.
This morning on the Channel 9 Breakfast Show, we were interviewing Joe Murray. Now, he's a very illustrious amateur boxer, just turned pro, and he's looking for a new nickname. He was on the back page of yesterday's Manchester Evening News, and we've been asking you guys out there for some of your suggestions. And we've had a few this morning, haven't we?
Oh, we've had
you
a fair
creative
few. You've
bunch.
all gone bonkers. We have got Joe... I've forgotten which one it is now. Mint Joe Murray. Like it. See what you've done there.
That's from P. Crabtree in Saddleworth. And the ladies have been getting involved in this. I think he's a bit of a heartthrob, is Mr. Murray.
A bit of eye candy.
How about this one? Joe the Mauler Murray, meaning to rip to pieces, also derives from a Latin word meaning hammer, from Reese Holbrook in Hyde. Wow.
Swallowed an encyclopedia.
I've got a bit of a lesson there. I like that, Reese. That's fantastic. And also, we've had this one from Anonymous, Joe Ring of Fire Ruby Murray. Now then, Anonymous, I think you'll find that setting a boxing ring on fire is a health and safety risk.
Yeah, don't think they meant that, but there you go. And Juicy Joe Murray.
Juicy Joe Murray, yeah.
Kind of juicy, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
That was Laura from Anonymous.
No, Laura from Stockport.
Oh, Laura from Stockport. There you go.
We've been inundated. If you've got a few ideas, then there's still plenty of time. His debut fight isn't for a few weeks yet. So, as you can see, breakfast@channelm.co.uk or text us 88821. Start your message with show. OK, we're going to have some money-saving tips from Richard Fenton, our debt buster, here on The Breakfast Show shortly. But first, let's get today's news headlines with James Webster.
Good morning. Let's take a look at the top stories this Wednesday. And researchers here in Manchester are starting a plan to measure thousands of children to track rising obesity levels. High-tech electronic scanners will be used and the data will go to high street stores who'll use it to manufacture bigger clothes. A third of children are now officially classed as overweight.
The way that children's clothing is labelled at the moment is by age and by height, as opposed to by girth measurements. So you might have a child that's sort of age 5, but you might have to buy a size 8 really to fit the height, and then the girth measurements might not fit.
Detectives are searching for whoever fired several bullets in Ancoats during Monday evening's rush hour. Gunfire was heard at around 6:20, and when police arrived, they found some vehicles had been damaged and empty bullet casings were nearby. Nobody was injured, but it's thought commuters might have seen what happened. A man's been arrested by police investigating a stabbing in Gorton. Early yesterday morning, a 27-year-old was knifed in the neck on Chapman Street. Detectives are questioning another man who's also 27 on suspicion of causing grievous bodily harm with intent. America is sending another 17,000 troops to Afghanistan. Barack Obama's made his first significant announcement about changing the course of the conflict there. The new president says it's needed to stabilise the deteriorating situation. A bride-to-be says her dream wedding at Old Trafford has been ruined by the England rugby team. Michelle Pickles has had her reception in June cancelled because the venue's now needed for an international match between England and Argentina. She's already sent out invitations, booked a church, a priest and a photographer. Bosses at Manchester United have offered to help with the cost of rearranging it and have offered new dates, but they say the small print in the bookings does state events can be cancelled at any time. Now, if you're looking for a new car, then here's news of an auction that might interest you, but be warned, you'll need deep pockets to snap up this one.
This coming Thursday, a whole host of rare race and rally cars will go under the hammer in Ashton-under-Lyne. I've come along to Simon Charles Auctioneers to find out more. So, Simon, this is your auction house. Tell me, why are you having a classic car auction in Ashton-under-Lyne?
Well, we got together with Graham Glue, our motor racing consultant expert, around about 8 months ago. And together we came up with the idea of providing a race car specific auction. A little bit different from classic cars. There's never been a race car auction for around about 6 to 8 years in the UK, so now's the time. So we've got a few star cars, we've got a Graham Hill Embassy car, which we're hoping to achieve anything up to £350,000 for.
This is an absolutely beautiful car. What is it exactly?
This is an original 1970s Capri. Started life as an average Capri, a road legal car, around about 7 or 8 years ago. It had an original, completely rebuilt performance engine. Now we're hoping to achieve anywhere between 130 and 150,000 pounds for it.
Wow. And I gather this may look spectacular, but actually it's something a little more ordinary underneath all of that yellow.
Well, it started life as a mini metro, an average mini metro. Now it's what's known as a 6R Ford Dam. This very fast car again should achieve anywhere between 60 and 70,000 pounds.
So this is the Star Lot, you know, a really beautiful car. Can you tell me something about it?
Yeah, this is Graham Hill's Embassy car from 1975. We're hoping to achieve round about anywhere between 220,000 to 350,000 pounds for this car. This car, sadly, was never raced. Graham Hill and his team designed it in 1975, but unfortunately there was an infamous helicopter crash at the time where sadly Graham and some of his colleagues died. Damon Hill signed it, his son, at the Goodwood Festival of Speed in 2005. So, yeah, it adds more credibility to the car.
Yeah. And if people want to buy this car and any of the others, how can they do that?
They can register online and bid before the sale. Remember, the sale starts at 12 on Thursday, so if they register a couple of hours before, they can bid away to the heart's content.
That's all from me for this morning. I'll be back with much more on the Channel M lunchtime news at 12 noon, and Andy Crane's here from 5 with a full roundup of the day's headlines. Now, though, talking through the morning's sports headlines, here's Byron and Mike.
Well, first it was Kaka, and now the Eastland eyes seem to be fairly fixed on a Spanish international, David Villa.
£50 million, David Villa. City are believed to be preparing a bid. His agent has already come out and said, I've spoken to my client, David Villa, and there's no way on God's earth he would like to come to Manchester City. So even before the papers get hold of that, big time for tomorrow morning, I think we can pour cold water on that one, so he won't be coming.
What a shame.
What a shame, great player, but just like Kaka, it looks like City are going to miss out on one of the best players in the world.
OK, maybe perhaps a safer bet is Drogba leaving Stamford Bridge.
Absolutely. Well, it's nailed on. He will leave at the end of the season. Marseille have come out this morning with a quote saying they will sign him come hell or high water. They'll do anything they can to take him back to the club where he was such a fan's favourite. And former Spurs manager Juan de Ramos is now the caretaker at Real Madrid. He's come out and said he's been offered a job with a Premiership team this morning. He does want it. He will come over in the summer. He's not allowed to say who it is, but we think it's Newcastle United. So.
Yeah, I'm not surprised there at all. OK, lots of sensational stories in this morning about a huge fraud involving a Texan billionaire who invested a lot of money in cricket, but let's dismiss that, shall we, and focus more on the Test series.
Yeah, the good news from Antigua this morning. Let's have a look at how day 4 finished for England. The first innings, 5-6 for 9 declared. West Indies bowled out in their reply for 285. Graham Swan taking 5 for 57. England lead by 312. The second innings is currently 31 for 1. They will resume at 2 o'clock this afternoon. So it looks like, Byron, finally some good news from there. We will level a series at 1-1.
Finally.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. We get some good news, and all of a sudden you get these sensational stories across the papers. It's crikey.
Yeah, bad news for the ECB chairman, Mr Giles, so we'll forget about that one.
Well, Edgley Park have been suffering a bit of bad news regarding their financial matters,
yeah,
but...
behind the scenes in turmoil. On the pitch, things are looking back on the up. The win last night sends a county 7th. They beat bottom side Cheltenham. Only managed a 1-0 win. The youngster Ollie Johnson on the half hour. Cheltenham hit the woodwork twice and had 3 shots cleared off line. The interesting thing there, Byron, is they were expecting a crowd of less than 3,000, and the town have got behind Stockport. The prices have remained the same, just over 5,000 there, so a lot of good money in the coffer. So good news. Hopefully that will persuade Jim Gannon to stay. Yeah,
I hope he does. And we've said time and time again, the faithful down at Edgley Park are just so solid.
Course, yeah, absolutely.
So behind the team. OK, let's go down to League. Macktown and Rochdale in action last night.
Macktown and Rochdale, as Byron said, involved in League 2 action last night. Both got identical scores. Mack drew 1-1 with Notts County. Simon Yeo just on the half hour. Matty Hamshaw, former Stockport County favourite, equalising for Notts County. Rochdale slipped up against Morecambe. They could have gone second. William Buckley opened the scoring on 50 minutes. Michael Twist for Morecambe with the last kick of the game, denying them 2 points. But they're 5th at the moment, and as we said on Monday, both Rochdale and Bury looking good for at least the end of season playoff. So it's not too bad at the minute.
OK, our Manchester United, as Arsene Wenger has said in the papers this morning, untouchable as they play Fulham tonight.
They are absolutely untouchable. They'll be 10 points ahead of Chelsea by the end of play tonight. Look at that on the left-hand side. Rooney, Vidic, Tevez, Carrick and Berbatov all returned to the squad. They all missed the 4-1 win against Derby at the weekend. Konchesky, Johnson, Etu all injured. Olivier Dacour retains his place. He's on loan. United looking for their 10th successive victory Fulham have yet to win away from home in the Premier League this season, so I reckon could be a home win.
OK, let's move on to netball. And we previewed yesterday on The Breakfast Show that the World Series will be taking place at the MEN Arena in October. So what news today, Mike?
Well, the news today is the rule changes which we weren't allowed to bring you yesterday morning, so thanks for getting up so early and watching. We weren't allowed to bring you the rule changes. Sam Goodman went out and he found out the details for us.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's a total new aspect of a branch off our normal game of netball. It's going to be a bit much faster, more skillful. It's going to be a quicker game altogether, and it is getting hotter.
So what exactly are these new rules? Well, matches will be 4 quarters, each 6 minutes long with 3 2-minute breaks. There'll be rolling substitutions. Coaches will be allowed to coach from the team bench or within the coaching area. An interesting element is the power play. A team will select 1 quarter to be their power play, and any goal scored within that quarter will be doubled. And finally, one of the most exciting rules is that shooters may shoot from inside or outside of the goal circle, where all successful goals will be worth double the points. Well, these new rules are set to make the game faster, more ferocious and a vibrant competition. But why a change from the original rules?
It's looking forward into how we can make this game more spectator-friendly, inject some enthusiasm into it, and I think all the sort of funding partners have made a real impact into actually generating the game of netball and taking it forward into the future to match the stage and to promote female sport. It's really exciting. Going out there into a whole new competition and the way different teams will interpret the rules is actually going to be a real big challenge, but there isn't really one team that sticks out for us in terms of the biggest competition. We're going out there to win. We have no fear of the other teams. I think in training when we tried it, by having shorter games and pressure right up to the final whistle means that the intensity is really lifted. I think fitness levels are going to be tested, but also the excitement of the change of the rules and the pressure that's put on different parts of the game.
Well, it's incredibly important for the city of Manchester, but also the country. I mean, this is a world first. You know, the World Netball Series never happened before. So it builds upon the success of last year where Manchester was given the award of the best sports city in the world. I mean, each world-class event brings a legacy with it to the people of Manchester and the broader Northwest region. So again, it's about developing that sport and creating the future champions. So it's from grassroots to champions.
Saving tips for you now with our financial whiz kid, Richard Fenton. Good morning, Richard.
Good morning.
Now, if you've been following the banking crisis with a fine-tooth comb, you'd be forgiven for thinking that potentially the safest place to stash any money you might have is under your bed.
Yeah, and I think
it's not the case, though.
No, not the case. Maybe 6 months ago, maybe the bed was a good place, but no, things have settled down now. Things have settled down, and the government's upped the ante in terms of the guarantee that they put on your savings. It's gone up from 35,000 to 50,000.
Okay.
But that's per institution. So, for example, you've got Abbey National and Alliance and Leicester, who are both under the Santander Group. Oh, sorry, Bradford and Bingley and Abbey National.
Yeah.
Sorry,
it's hard
Alliance
to keep up with who's with who now, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Everybody's moving
where
around.
Are we up to?
It's like the swingers of the banks, really. It's terrible. But, yeah, if you're banking with both of those institutions, you need to move away from one or the other because they're both under Santander, so it's classed as one institution. But the government will guarantee up to £50,000 with any finance. So if the worst happens, you know you've got your cash. So if you're lucky enough to have more than £50,000, then split it across.
So potentially people who have been saving for an awfully long time, or somebody perhaps who's just had a big redundancy payout, and they've got a lump sum and they want to know they can put it somewhere safe, split it if it's more than 50,000.
Split it if it's more than 50 grand, yeah.
OK. Needing cash in a hurry. I assume that this is a trap that some people fall into because some of the high interest rate accounts means that your money's tied up for, say, 12 months or you need to give 90 days notice. And what would your advice be in that area? Just
check out what the penalties are going to be if you're going to go in for a high interest account. 6% is about the best deal you're going to get anywhere over a 12-month period. They normally would expect you to make a monthly deposit, and there's penalties for early withdrawal and for missing payments. So if you think you're going to need your cash in a hurry, you're as well just sticking it into a standard savings account or as long as you're aware that it may drop from 6% to 3%, or even lower to 1.25, so you're not hit with any surprises at the end of the year.
Top tip, read the small print.
Read the small print, definitely.
Oh gosh, tax. As if we don't get taxed enough on everything. You do get taxed on your savings as well, don't you?
Yeah, some people think that, you know, squirreling away your own cash and making it work for yourself, you're going to be free of any tax payments to the government. There's not a thing in this world that doesn't get taxed when you get it. No, they absolutely do not. If you're earning under a certain level, it's about £5,500, then you're not going to get hit with tax, but that's your income plus your interest payments. If you think you're not eligible for tax, there's a form you can fill out. It's an R85 at your local tax office. Submit that. The tax people will do all they can to ensure that you are correct in your assumption and let you know if you do need to pay tax. But it's something that you do need to be aware of. But of course, you can stick £3,000 in an ISA and it's totally tax-free.
Of course, yes. So it's worth talking to a financial advisor or somebody in the bank, isn't it, to find out the best account for you. And finally, pensions. It's become a bit of a bad word of late, isn't it? People think perhaps they shouldn't invest in a pension. Would they be better putting it into a savings account? Where do you stand on that? What's the best advice?
You've really got to take the bull by the horns with a pension. If you start saving now, get yourself into a good pension scheme. You can buy in cheaply now. It's going to pay off when you hit retirement. The state pension's worth nothing today. It'll be worth even less when people in their 20s or even 30s retire. And you don't want to retire and be stuck in front of the TV wishing that you'd taken the pension out. You want to be sat on a beach drinking cocktails, living the high life when you retire. You don't want to work all those years and end up with nothing. So do it, save as much as you can, minimum of 5% of your income on a monthly basis if you can, more if possible.
OK. Some great advice there, Richard. Thank you very much, as always. We'll see you again next week. Time now for a quick break, after which we'll have music from the lovely Anthony Wright. We'll see you soon.